Now that it's on YouTube.
You're all set.
We're all set? All right, thank you, Chris. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the January 17th, 2023 meeting of the Orangetown Plan and Zoning Commission. I am Commissioner Ozzie Parenti.
Chairman Trantalis, Administrative Assistant.
Paul Kaplan.
Kevin Cornell.
Judy Smith.
Jack Demerjen, Zoning Administrator.
And, okay, this evening we don't have Commissioner Tarenti with us. He's got a work matter going on, so. He said he'd try to get here later, but I think he probably won't be with us tonight. All right, so first item on our agenda is a review of the minutes from the January 3, 2023 meeting.
I have one edit on page 4, which is after page 5 when it got stapled, but
Mine's in the right order.
Mine's in the right order, yeah.
no, I got 1, 3, 5, 4.
Must have just been you. No.
So what do you have?
First paragraph, Commissioner Smith stated that her finding is this is too intense for the size of the lot, and then the next sentence I wanted to modify. Tell me when you're ready.
Page 4. I'm ready. I'm listening to you.
This condition of approval,
It is, yes.
Okay, thank you.
this condition of approval will generate and in parentheses, the closing of Lindy Street, will generate a new site plan which the commission will not be able to review.
Anything else?
Maybe the word revised instead of proposed.
Right. Well, I was gonna get rid of that whole first part of the sentence.
Okay.
Got that, Jack?
I believe so. Yeah.
All right. I have a comment on page 3. This is on the second to last paragraph. Last sentence, Chairman Parenti stated that the commission has expert testimonies that queuing would not be an issue. I would just change that to expert testimony, singular, from applicants, traffic engineer, and the commission's consultant to the effect that queuing would not be an issue. And I also have a comment on page 4. If you look at those bullet points, the second one up from the bottom, a provision must be made to provide reimbursement for police. I would cross out police and say for expense of municipal traffic control measures during first 30 days of operation. Was it 30 days of operation or 90 days? I think it was 30.
We didn't put a time limit on this one. We did it for the reciprocal parking. This
All right.
one, we did not have a time.
Because I think the statute requires, I thought it was 30. Yeah, up to 30. So
State
that,
statute.
right, I mean, this is, I think, superfluous because the statute, the statute
Right,
applies to
and
me.
this is not the exact language that was included in their approval, their letter.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So-
I just, it may be more than just police, I don't know,
Okay.
what it could be. So that's why I say expensive municipal traffic control measures during the first 30 days of operation. I think that's what we said,
Right, well, it's in the letter of approval.
yeah. Yeah, well, I just didn't want it to be inconsistent, Yeah, I realize that it's in the approval,
And it says 30 days.
right. That's all I had. You good, Kevin? All right, motion to approve the minutes?
So moved? As amended.
We have a motion to approve the minutes as amended. It's been seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Jack, item number 2, not Jack, old business, item number 2.
I have one, did we, or unless you're going to get to this in your report, the revision to the cannabis language limiting it to one site in the town of Orange.
Right, we might have spoken today about it. I did not get anything from Vinny, and I was out of the office all last week, so I just realized today that he hadn't sent anything over. He should be in town hall tomorrow. I'll corner him and remind him on that
All right,
again.
you're not gonna wait for us on the language.
No, once he
You're gonna get the
Once he
the
gives
notice
me-
done and out to the the regional.
correct. Once I get something, I can send that out immediately, and then get it rolling there. Then
All right. Yeah, just as long as you're not waiting for us to review
No.
that language.
still waiting to get
I
it.
mean, it's pretty simple language.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
gonna-
that's why I
Right.
say
almost-
He probably just
Don't need
forgot
it.
from the last meeting, and again, I was out, so I wasn't able to remind him. So
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
Right, do you know what your proposal was?
Well, you don't have to have, I mean, you could just, I don't think you need to cite the section and all that.
No,
Just-
no, it's just, was it linear feet?
No, no,
No.
the idea was that we were just gonna somewhere put in, there will only be one.
no
more than one.
cannabis retailer.
Right.
So you can amend the, so-
Right.
the commission's gonna hold a public hearing
Mhm.
to consider the adoption of a measure that would allow, yeah, that's all.
Right.
To a maximum of one
Yeah.
in the
I
town.
know
No, and he's aware. Again, he was at the last meeting when
Yeah.
we had this conversation.
But I'm just saying, if you don't, feel free to do that on your own.
Okay,
without-
yeah.
Right,
you know,
exactly. I like that idea.
Gotcha.
Because that's all it is. I mean,
Right, no,
we
understood.
weren't going to modify it, we were just going to put a sentence in somewhere in the
Mm-hmm.
regulations to that effect. right?
Off topic, but now under old business, I guess. Will we be advised, or will you please advise us, when and if a new site plan comes in showing the change that we discussed at the cannabis hearing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And there's no reason, obviously, why that can't be circulated to us, right?
No reason as long as everyone
Public
understands.
information.
Yeah, it's not.
But we had
Right.
no-
You would all not have the opportunity to.
Comment.
To comment,
There's
no,
nothing,
but-
there's no application before us.
Anyone could come in
Right.
and
So-
request it, but we have not gotten such.
All right, when
yet.
we get that, though, I mean, I think everybody be
Absolutely.
interested in having a look at
Will
it.
do.
All right, anything else under old business? How about under new business, item number 3 on the agenda? Okay, then we'll move on to the report of the zoning enforcement officer.
Sure. The daycare application that we did here last meeting, that was withdrawn. The applicant needs to most likely go the special permit route to get some parking reduction that would better suit their site. So I'm assuming we'll see them in the next meeting or two, so we can expect that. A reminder, February 1st is our first session of our training for all of you commission members. Housing specialist David Fink will be our speaker. He's someone that I work with pretty closely through our Council of Governments in our monthly meetings. Really, really great guy, very knowledgeable on Connecticut housing, so that is 7 o'clock. 7
Okay.
o'clock right here.
Right here.
Yep.
Okay,
February 1st. They're all scheduled for Wednesdays, so we can make sure we have the room.
This is zoning CLE.
Yes. Maybe it'll count for your law CLEs as well.
it's too late.
Way too early. So.
It's way too early.
But yes, that is basically all I have for you. And I was out last week again with the training, so that went well, and we can go from there.
All right. Anything on the appeal, the winery?
No, we
appeal?
handed over the transcript to the attorney that Vin set up for us because he had the conflict of interest.
Who is the attorney?
Jeffrey
D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio out of Branford? North Branford? I can look it up right after. I have his info.
What were you going to say, Trumbull? I thought that, yeah, I thought you said
You very well could be right. I don't know why Branford is coming to mind, but. But yes, he has the transcript. That's basically all of the update I have for the winery. And return of record, yeah.
All right. Is that it for?
That is it for
your
me, unless
report?
anyone has anything for me.
Okay, we have 2 public hearings. The first one I'm going to, I've recused myself from involvement in, so I'll step aside. This is the application for special permitted use and site plan application for 88 Marsh Hill Road, submitted by Sully Engineering. So I'll step aside. Commissioner Smith will continue the meeting on that matter.
Okay.
North Haven, by the way.
North Haven? I knew it was North something.
North Haven, COE. Pardon, I just messed up.
So when we left off on January 3rd, and we closed the public hearing on this application, they had one more meeting with the Safety Commission. I think that was on Monday, the 9th. And we received the minutes from that meeting in our packet. And the Safety Commission voted in opposition to this project. Now, they're non-binding to us, you know, wetlands, denial of wetlands is binding. This is advisory. But I guess one of the concerns are the number of traffic lights in close proximity up on Marsh Hill Road. There would be 3 about 250 feet apart. The applicant is proposing a traffic light at their entrance, and that's what the traffic study is based upon. So I want to have Jack explain to us what generates the Connecticut DOT to put in a traffic light, because they can't go there and ask for that until something happens locally.
This is what the gentleman who presented was
Mr. Morrow?
was describing to us?
Solely engineering,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, go ahead.
Yep. So because of the proximity to the off-ramp of
95.
95, the DOT has a review that they have to do based on that proximity. They have to know the traffic loads and maneuverability. They need to know everything in that area. But they will not do that review until they have the green light from the municipal boards. So until they get a positive, if they were to get a positive recommendation from us tonight, then that would trigger the review for DOT. They don't have the time or the resources to look at every project that might not even make it past the first stage. So that is where they are now, and DOT will not give a recommendation or really review it at all, put any resources to it until they have the green light from us.
So that impacts the application in at least 2 ways. So first, the presentation we heard was based on a timing integration of the lights being in sequence so that people didn't queue across entrances, people weren't trying to make squirrel movements because they got blocked at one light versus another. So you won't know whether that's going to happen. And then, in looking at this referral report, there seem to be traffic concerns when there are multiple lights in short proximity to each other.
Yep.
I don't know if the DOT could say no traffic light, in which case we'd be trying to put 5,000 cars a day through an unsignalized interchange, and it'd look like, well, it'd be more traffic than those left-hand turns you're trying to take out of Outback, for example. It's just the opposite side of the interchange.
So according to the minutes, it says Mr. Morrow and Chief Gagné advised the state will not entertain further discussion until the project is approved by the local traffic authority.
The authority is advisory. If we approve a project, then that is the deciding factor. It would have to go to state DOT, as I understand it.
Okay, that's, so, yeah,
Going to them is just for consideration, not for one way or the other, although the engineers seem to suggest that it was much more likely than not if, to happen, so to speak.
They have to. A DOT, from my talks with the engineer and Chief
Right.
Gagny, a DOT review would be required by the state because of the proximity to that off-ramp.
But you don't know the outcome of that review.
Well, yeah, that I can't tell you.
How do we do it?
Do we make the approval contingent upon the light?
And the integration with the other lights. After the last meeting, I'm a little leery of making that particular motion, to tell you the truth.
Have we done this before, where we've had a situation where it's going to be referred to DOT and,
To my knowledge, no, not that I remember.
I'm not thrilled about
the referral to DOT only happens after you act.
Right. So we can't make it, we can't bootstrap it and say, listen, if we don't get it, I mean, is our approval, can we make our approval contingent upon DOT's approval? I don't know the answer to that.
Well,
Sorry, could you ask give me one more time?
Kevin painted a pretty rosy picture of 5,000 cars based on
well,
what I'm
that's
looking at.
testimony.
Yeah,
It's 30% more than what's up there now.
right, with no signalized intersection. So that,
No guarantee.
yeah, exactly.
Right. To be perfectly clear, I don't know what the DOT's decision-making power. If we were to condition a light there,
That's what I'm
and they were to say, does not make sense, we can't sign off on a light being there, that where does that leave us? Because then they would not be meeting the conditions of our approval.
Right.
No
Yeah.
approval.
No approval.
So if the commission were to impose certain conditions, and because of the DOT traffic study review, those conditions were not to be met based on their referrals, our approval would no longer be valid because they're not meeting our conditions.
I'm not sure I lost you someplace in there.
So if we impose a condition for this light, and DOT says, we don't want this light, doesn't make any sense, there's no way we can sign off on it, then our approval is null and void, because they no longer meet the condition.
So basically, we're still conditioning our approval on DOT's,
Absolutely.
that's what I would be concerned about.
Yeah, but, so, sorry to roll the clock back a little bit. When the commission was initially considering the language that allowed this use, and we had discussions and, about traffic and retail operations that close to an interchange. At that point in time, I don't recall there being any discussion about needing a light,
There wasn't.
okay?
You're right, there wasn't.
All right, so we adopt this based on or everyone but me, I think, decided to adopt this language on the thought that there was a relatively low-intensity traffic generator. So now got an application in front of us, and we have a signal. Now we have a signal that needs to be coordinated with multiple other signals because it's so close to them that, according to this testimony, that generates, traffic accidents. And we don't know if we're going to get it. So, do you do what we did last time, or last meeting, which is,
Contingent upon another approval.
or do you vote on what's in front of you? Which is,
No
we
light.
don't know that they're gonna get a light. That,
And I certainly feel like if we don't get a light, if this is I don't, when it was presented initially, it was 5,000 cars? I don't remember that number
I
at all.
don't know that we had a traffic study when it was.
But when we did the text amendment, the zone change, we, you just go with the uses.
Sure.
Then you get a project that has real numbers and generates traffic and due to square footage of buildings and intensity on the site. smaller project, less traffic. But it's in, yeah, in the Safety Commission minutes. Marshall Road already has 16 to 20,000 vehicles a day traveling in the studied area and will be adding approximately 5,000 per day with this proposal.
What is, so if we, I'm sorry. So let's assume that we take the approach that we just discussed, which is not to approve it, based on what's in front of us, which is no light. Where does that leave the applicant in terms of, they can't get a light until it's approved, right? We can't, there's no signalization until we approve it as the lower as the board.
Correct. DOT is not going to put the resources or time in.
Yeah,
until
no,
they
it makes
have
sense to
our
me.
green light. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I am impacted by our safety commission's unanimous vote. Like that resonates a bit with me. I know it's not binding,
Right.
but I do respect it and the people that are making it, so you gotta think long and hard.
Right. I think the usage, I think we got it, thanks.
Was there any memo from the State Traffic Commission, any advisory memo
None.
that ever came
No.
through during the public hearing? Okay,
No.
any document that's already in the record, okay.
So the motion was by our commission, deny the proposal in light of the peer review results, the short distance between the existing and proposed traffic signals, as well as the unknown situation as to the state of Connecticut's willingness to coordinate the proposed traffic signal.
Unanimous, and a unanimous, I should say, denial. Do you think, can we infer from this thing that even if they got a signal, it doesn't look like it was going to pass? Or at least that there's no discussion about that? They cite several different reasons for their denial. Only one of them is the signalization.
Right, but, and the signalization only has to do with coordinating it with the other. It seems like the distance between
There's a problem.
the exit ramp, this proposed light, and the next one down the road are so close together that there are queuing and accident problems because of it.
Do they reference data showing more traffic lights and a limited travel span result in more accidents?
It sounds like the issue is going to be, even if there was a traffic light approved, that our traffic commission had issues with it.
Yeah.
Why would we pass it? How do we approve this, even if we make it contingent upon the traffic signal being approved by DOT, when I understand it's non-binding, but our professionals have basically said that there are significant issues as a result of the putting in the additional traffic up there because of the closeness of those signals.
And the intensity, I think, of
Of the use.
the project,
Mhm.
yeah, on the,
You'd have to substitute your judgment
For theirs.
For theirs.
I don't really think about traffic other than, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us want to create an unsafe situation up there.
Basically, we're talking about increasing it by 25%. You know, 5,000 cars on 16 to 20,000 cars, that's a quarter. It's an awful lot with the traffic commission not really being on board.
Right.
So it would, appear what we're feeling is that now in the light of the data, that the proposed component we're looking at, which is primarily the convenience with travel center portion, is too intense for that particular location.
They're, and I have no reason to disbelieve them, if they're correct on the 5,000 extra cars coming to our travel center, which, I may have, maybe a little incredulous about, but still, it's the professionals telling us that's what they expect. Yeah, I got issues with it.
I mean, it would be adding, a lot of traffic to an already stressed roadway, that's for sure.
I'm not sure any way out of the box, because it doesn't look like adding a traffic signal is going to solve the problem, at least not from the professionals at our level. That's what they're saying. Am I misreading that? Meaning putting in and sequencing or synchronizing the signals. This Commissioner Hurley, is that Kevin, the gentleman from Tom Hurley?
Tom's wife, actually.
They reference the peer review, but I don't recall extraordinarily negative responses in the WSP review.
No, in the final correspondence between Soli and WSP, I actually think they said all of their concerns had been met.
And the traffic study concurred that it was going to be 5,000 extra cars per day?
That I would have to.
I don't remember seeing that number. I mean, I'm looking at it right now in the minutes, but I don't remember seeing that number before.
This one, that's December 15th, so that one, that's subsequent.
I'd be happy to run upstairs and grab a copy of the most recent study. I didn't bring them down here with me.
I know.
Oh, right here.
This was the original.
While you're doing that, neither the initial traffic study nor the peer review voiced those concerns, at least not to the extent that the local board traffic.
Well, don't forget, they want to
Get
get a
paid.
project approved.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, originally this was light industrial, right? That's a very different traffic pattern than retail. And we did amend it. But it just in light of this report, I just think the intensity, like, I still think that type of use up there is appropriate, but maybe scaled down a little bit based upon the volume.
I really did not anticipate adding 25% more traffic. I just didn't, maybe I missed it. But I agree with your comment, Judy, that the use is something that I feel comfortable with in that area. They think the cars are coming, the automobiles are coming from, I mean, there's a showroom there, right?
Right.
It's going to be not a Krauser's, but an ice cream place
Yeah, it's a coffee shop, ice cream, and general convenience store.
and a gas station,
Gas station and
charging
electric vehicle
station.
charging, correct.
This is, that's the traffic count, right?
Weekday daily, yep, just
Okay.
under 5,000.
Yeah,
just shy.
4,938 in their truck, yeah.
Yep.
It's 4.6 acre parcel.
But the generations coming out of the travel mart component, not out of the vehicle showroom.
Right.
Can't even buy the vehicles there.
Right.
They can
I would think that'd be a very low traffic
I'm
generator.
thinking the same thing. And the gas station's one thing, but the electric charging stations, the turnover is what, 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
Yeah, but it's the drive-through stuff.
Right.
They got a drive-through, they have 4,000 feet of convenience retail, and, 8 or 10 pumps or something like that. I mean, said during the hearing, it's a nice Cumberland Farms.
My brain around Cumberland Farms generating 5,000 people a day.
The community travel center was just shy of 8,500 square feet.
That's a good size,
That's
yeah.
right, and again, that's with the coffee shop, that's with the other amenities there as well.
Are you looking for a
Yeah, I guess we have to, take an action.
Something.
I'm going to move that we deny the application for special permit use for site plan application submitted by Soli Engineering LLC for the property known as 88 Marsh Hill Road, for the, under the, or with the understanding that our traffic commission the traffic authority has looked at the situation and has determined that the present volume, adding another 5,000 cars, would create a hazardous situation in and around that area.
I'm the only one here, so second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 3-0, unanimous.
But I think you're right.
Welcome back, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Judy. All right. Final item on our agenda this evening, application for special exception permit or use submitted by Joseph Perone for property known as 967 Old Coach Road, and this is to construct a 1,410 square foot garage for additional storage. Is the applicant present?
Yes,
Pl- Please come up to the,
Yeah. Oh, you want me to read the?
oh yeah, read, yeah, you want to, that's right, this is,
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Please take it away.
Yeah, sure.
go ahead.
Noted to appear one time on Thursday, January 5th, 2023, probably, and one time on Thursday, January 12th, 2023, the Orange TPZC. Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that on Tuesday, January 17th, 2023, at 7 p.m. at the Orange Town Hall, 617 Orange Center Road, the Orange Town Plan and Zoning Commission will conduct a public hearing on the following: an application for special exception permit or use submitted by Joseph Perone on the property known as 967 Old Coach Road to construct a 1,410-square-foot garage for additional storage. Copy of this notice has been filed with the Orange Town Clerk. Additional information is on file in the Orange Zoning Department, dated in Orange, Connecticut, this 4th day of January, 2023.
Thanks, Paul. All right, if you would introduce yourself.
Sure, absolutely. I'm Joseph Perone. I'm the occupant who lives at 967 Old Coach Road. And so obviously I was here today to discuss the proposed storage garage that I would like to build on my property. So looking at the plans, the actual garage size itself would be about 1,000 square feet. It should be 1,050. And then there's also a proposed overhang, which would essentially just be an extension of the roof to create a 360 square foot kind of covered patio space outside, which would just be a place for us to be able to spend outside time, watch the kids and things like that. So I'm kind of a novice at this. I'm not sure if there's anything specific that you want me to address. Obviously, based on the site plans that were provided, it does fall within the setbacks and the zoning requirements from that standpoint. The special exception was due to the square footage and the height of the building specifically. So any concerns that you guys have about that, or if there's any specific questions that you would like me to address about the proposal, I'd be happy to do so.
Mr. Perone, so we have a tendency to treat owners much more, I don't want to say civilly, we're civil to everybody. Gentle.
Well, that's very much appreciated, certainly.
I'm going to hold that for tonight.
But, there are certain criteria that we ask people about.
Okay.
When they're called special permit, you have to meet certain criteria, and we have to make those findings to give you what you want.
Okay.
So, with respect to the height, is the additional height above 15 feet required in order to make this look architecturally like your house?
That was my my thoughts when I discussed it with the designs and the architecture. So my house has a 10-12 pitch on it on both the garage roof and the main roof of the house, which is obviously a pretty steep pitch, and it has a certain architectural appearance to it. And so to put a building right next to my garage, and this, even if as the proposed, and again, I'm flexible, like I can certainly work with the architect if there are things that you guys want to change. I'm trying to do it the right way, but I think that if you look at the picture that shows the steepness of the garage roof, putting a much flatter building right next to it would probably stand out and I think look worse architecturally. So the pitch I chose was slightly less than the 10-12. We chose an 8-12 pitch to kind of, not make it too overly burdensome and too tall, but to still kind of keep with the architectural look of a pretty steep roof pitch. Obviously, that can be changed if that's required, but I thought I and with the architect I work with, we thought that would probably be a good compromise for the appearance.
All right. So that was an eloquent way of saying yes.
It's a gentle way.
You should be a lawyer.
And within the eave of that roof, were you gonna have like a loft area for storage or something like that?
I think probably that would make sense. I hadn't had any finalized design plans on that. I don't know that I would need any lofted space at this stage of the game, although we have been known to accumulate items over time, so.
Judging from the list of things you
Things are
have
gonna-
going in it, yes.
I know. My wife's already angry about that, but now I got all this stuff. I got to put it somewhere and keep it nice.
The reason I ask is that were you to put that in a accessible by stairwell way, then that would also be counted in the square footage.
Okay.
So in this application, the way you've written it, you're right, you're not creating that space for occupancy up there at this
The
point.
stairwell is interior.
Yeah, it'd be an interior stairwell, but if he puts it in there, if he puts it, that level up there, would that count towards square footage?
Oh, I thought it was more a lot density requirement.
Yeah, I don't believe it would not count towards the total square footage of the building.
Okay.
Going by
I mean, we look
outside
at the,
parameter,
we look
outside,
at, look at the
outside.
footprint of the building.
Right.
Okay.
Any internal work, just like in the house, we wouldn't have to review.
Okay, all right, so you do have that flexibility in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Subject to building permits.
Of course,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
And so, again, I think one of the requirements is, that can be waived, is that you, sort of show us what it's gonna look like. Is it
Building
enough?
materials?
That was my next question, because
Yeah.
just for the people at home, what I'm looking at here
Is
is
the house.
not, is just the house.
That's correct.
Okay, so which section do you have the,
The dirt pile.
oh, the
dirt
next?
pile?
Is that where it is?
Is that-
Correct. Yes, so it would be detached right in the area where all that dirt is kind of piled up, just at the end of the driveway
All right,
there,
that-
so it would be sitting
All
next
right,
to
so
the house
Joseph,
on
then I
that
have
side.
a couple of more questions.
Sure.
Did
No, go.
you'll have electricity to this
Correct.
little storage area?
I will,
Okay.
yes.
But no water?
I don't have any plans for water at this time.
No septic?
No,
Okay.
no. The septic is totally separate on the other side.
Yeah, okay.
Would an approval, could we indicate that it's subject to there not being any?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
I thought that the answer to that question was no currently, because if we approve something, then whatever he can get a building. Sorry, yeah, sorry about that. I thought that the last time we had this discussion where there was an existing septic system, that if someone could get a building permit, they were entitled to put in whatever they could get a building permit.
That one,
I don't know
I
about
think that was
that.
Because it had already been
it was
approved.
already existing.
yeah.
Yeah.
This, because it's a special permit, we have pretty
Broad discretion.
broad discretion.
In other words,
We have broad discretion, so we could
Make
put
that
a
a
condition that
conditional.
this
there'd
accessory
be no
structure,
utilities other than.
other than
Electricity.
electricity. Right.
I wouldn't mind water if he needed to wash his hands out.
Well,
No,
Well, I guess the only part, well, no,
As long as it doesn't have septic, you're not putting it in a bathroom.
yeah, right.
right, no bathroom.
So that's
so
what we're talking about
Yeah,
is,
okay.
is,
That's
if I may just ask a question, obviously, I did as much as I could try to read through the zoning requirements and things as far as what counts as a detached garage and all those things. I did see a provision there that while it can't be used for occupancy, that there could potentially be a bathroom located in a garage, and that's not a problem. So before I got to the state, basically what ended up happening is I'm having a mason do a retaining wall. He said, hey, do you want me to do the foundation at the same time? I went to get a foundation-only permit at the building department. They said, it's too big, you have to get zoning approval first. So rather than putting a whole bunch of resources into, finalizing all these plans, I just wanted to know if this is something really that's feasible and would be approved in the first place. I have not had a plumber out to look at it. I haven't had any drawings of septic plans or anything on there, but I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to putting a bathroom in there so that in future use, really my thought is to think forward towards the future. Well, if and when the day comes that my wife and I decide to put a pool in or something, do I have to have all my kids' friends running through my house, getting dirt all over my hardwood floor, or can I go back in and say, hey, look, there's a bathroom out in the garage. If you have to go use the bathroom from the pool, just go out there and go pee real quick and then come back to the pool. So while I don't have any plans at this point to do it, and I certainly don't have anything built in, that would be my only concern for the board to consider, that if there's really a specific need or a strong opposition to doing that, what would the reasoning be behind that?
Well, the no occupancy.
Right.
Not for you, the next user.
Okay.
Okay, that's our biggest concern.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, it's one residential dwelling per lot. And if somebody could conceivably adapt this to a separate residential
Okay.
use, that's the problem.
Okay.
Typically, that threshold for us is the cooking facility, not necessarily the bathroom.
It's 1,400,
I hate-
it's 1,400 feet.
The inside of it's only 1,000 square feet.
Yeah,
The-
that's true.
The exterior of it is the additional square footage is actually just an underneath of a roof overhang.
But it's still 1,000 feet.
Listen, he made sense. I don't
Yeah.
like it, but he
Yeah.
he made a sense, and it's not something I haven't thought about before. But we also have had issues with outbuildings having more stuff in there than just for storage and used as an outbuilding, and I'd have to think long
You
and
might
hard.
like your kids now.
Right.
Then when I have the less I like them in the future, the more I'll keep putting them in that bathroom in the garage, right?
Exactly.
That's our worry.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, that being said, there's certainly no plans for HVAC or anything like that out there. There's going to be a concrete floor, and I see what you're saying. I mean, certainly, I suppose if somebody else came in there and they want to do something with it, there's a possibility. But at the same time, this is a custom-built home that I just built 2 years ago. I'm a doctor with a practice that I own in town. That's something that I've spent already 6.5 years building my reputation within the town and the practice, and I own that practice, and I own the building with that practice, and so I don't really have any plans to relocate or move anywhere. I'm here so that my children can go to school in Orange. That's obviously where I'm coming from and kind of why I have this plan, and so.
So, on the site, it's gonna be located here, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and there's ample buffering, there's a nice tree line
Correct.
that will
There's
screen this from your neighbors, although I'm sure it'll be a lovely building.
Correct.
But we'll
There's
screen them in the.
Correct. There's actually both a tree line and a considerable elevation change with the hill that provides a lot of coverage and privacy, actually, so that they wouldn't really be able to see much of it at all. And the elevation is such that if you're standing in my backyard and you look straight across at their house, the elevation of the hillside, actually, the only thing that I can see from the tall height of 5'7" is just the cap of the roof line, so you can't even really visually see the majority of the neighbor's house.
Yeah, the question is more what do they see?
Right. I mean, it's similar, obviously, looking from their yard. They're looking up that hill, so they even have a steeper angle than I have looking straight across, so they don't really see much of anything, actually.
Are there other houses visible from that vantage point, from the vantage point of the,
I just see the one it looks like.
There's really
is it
not.
just that one?
Yeah, there's really not. It's on a
The ones across the
cul-de-sac,
street.
and there's no significant house across the street that could see where that garage is. And then there's only 2 houses beyond my house on the end of the cul-de-sac. So it's a dead end that basically 2 homes, 2 families that live beyond where they would be actually driving past this. And I don't anticipate that much of it would be visible at all from their vantage point in their homes.
What was I going to say? I lost it.
sometimes we get a rendering of what the building would look like, so we know the building materials and color. Can you just describe that?
Absolutely. I was going to have it exactly the same material as my home. It's going to be the same charcoal architectural tiles. It'll be the very same, it's Main Street siding that's in a granite gray. It'll be exactly the same with the same trim, white trim. And it should be depicted on some of the plans that I gave in, but it's obviously not a color rendering, but it would be the very same building materials.
I don't recall seeing that.
I had them kind of compiled on a full-size page, but I can certainly have a copy of it. So basically, at least the top two here kind of showed the ends of what the building would look like. I can come around here, but if you wanted to pass this
Oh, okay, yeah,
around,
we
look
didn't,
at it.
we didn't have that.
We didn't see that.
We didn't see that, that's very nice.
I was gonna say, yeah, did you,
Yeah, I had given 8 copies of this, so I handed in paperwork twice. The initial paperwork I
With the
handed was
revised,
that,
maybe
and
you
then
left
you
it
had
in
said
there.
that there were a couple things missing, so I had
Okay.
then resubmitted
That was
the
probably
second
in the
paperwork.
initial, and I don't know if you
Talk
had.
over each other, because then I can't understand what's talking.
But so that, and I'm happy if you guys wanted to, or if you can see it from your vantage point, but this was the rendering here with the elevations and the foundation plans and things.
So that's the side, that obviously faces the driveway.
Correct, this would be the driveway facing side with the garage door. And then this is the structural overhang of the roof supported with some trusses basically over here.
Jack, does it meet all our requirements in terms of coverage and so forth?
Coverage, yes, it does. It's a large enough lot.
Side yard
I had
setbacks?
the updated zoning table on the side here.
It's on the plan,
Yeah.
Paul. Bulk requirements. Are there any other municipal sign-offs required?
Not at this stage, no. Once, if you were to,
Building.
yeah, once, well, there's a second zoning application that comes after this, just a
Yeah.
compliance form. That's
Yeah.
when myself, the engineer, and the sanitarian will take a look, then from there to building.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't feel it'll have any negative impacts on the neighborhood. I think it's the rendering, thank you for showing us.
You're welcome, absolutely.
Yeah, I apologize for not including those.
That's really my goal. I have a trailer two trailers actually that kind of are sitting out in that dirt area now, and then, they get rusty over time and things like that. So I just would like to keep the equipment clean and also make the street look nice and clean, and I'd prefer not to have all those things sitting outside, and as it is right now, I just don't have the space to keep them inside, so.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Paul? Judy, you all set?
All set.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, I appreciate your time. Thank you, guys.
All right, then, do we?
Hang on, just let me ask one.
Yeah.
Jack, the doc on his application put down the neighbors. Do they get notification?
Not for special permit, no.
Okay, thank you.
One other thing that you mentioned that, there was a reference in the application to 383-117. I don't recall exactly where it was. The
From that number,
The correct reference is 383-26I, accessory uses. I don't know what one,
No, yeah, I agree.
In the
in this.
application form,
Right.
it references 117.
Right, which
A
is
little
in-
further down the page,
Yeah, I couldn't,
the architectural standards, so, yeah.
where do you see it?
Third,
Oh, here it is, over here, on top of page 2.
Yeah.
right.
383 once, that's not a correct reference. That probably should be changed.
Right.
It's three.
Well, I think that was referring to the architecturals, which again, which did make it in the packet, but it's the architectural standards of that section of the regulations in our site plan regs.
All right. The application he's making, though, is for an
Is first, correct.
accessory use.
Yes.
Resident, you know, 383-26I. I3 to be exact. A larger ground coverage in height in excess of 15 feet is permitted, subject to approval of a special use in accordance with the provisions of Article 14, which is where you get the, you know, the considerations, you know, is it compatible with the surrounding neighborhood? Is it harmonious with the neighborhood? Does it adversely affect property values, traffic, things like that? All of which I personally feel comfortable that there's no problem. All right, so before we begin our discussion, does anybody think we need more information in order to decide the application, such that we should keep the public hearing open for any reason?
I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Can leave you hanging.
We have a motion to close the public hearing, it's been seconded.
Stumper.
Okay, we're moving in slow motion.
Sunshine.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public hearing's closed. This seems okay to me. I mean, I'm not,
It's certainly much more reasonable. It's larger than our statutes seem to suggest for, that require a special permit, but from my standpoint, I think the size is not overwhelming
seems like a very private lot.
in
Not a
relative
huge
terms.
lot, it's only 1.4 acres, I think. If I-
60,000, I think it's just,
I
what,
think it's 1.5, I think it's.
is it really?
Today's,
1.5, okay, yep.
it's 1.5.
There's only one house, it looks like, that's even,
1.4.
yep,
Huh?
Oh, sorry.
yep,
Yeah, I think it's 1.4.
yep.
So not a big lot, but, that issue really goes to, how private is the lot? You know, and this seems like it's quite private. I mean, you can't even, I don't think you'll be able to see the addition from the street, really. Do we think that we need, as a condition to our approval, to add any kind of, ground cover, any kind of buffering?
I don't think so. It's at the end of a driveway.
Yeah. At
So
the end of
you
a
want to have
cul-de-sac.
unimpeded access to the roll-up door. It's in scale with the rest of the house and the rest of the neighborhood.
And I take him at his word, he's gonna put it, he already testified that he's gonna be doing it in the same kind of building materials and make it, as part of the house would have been, so.
Yeah, I mean, having the renderings of the house is very helpful.
Right. That being said, I know, I guess it's still allowed under the regs, but I'm not comfortable in authorizing a septic system and a.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we can't make those conditions of approval.
certainly
Electricity,
could.
fine.
We certainly could.
And if that, someday somebody, somebody wants to change that in some fashion, they're welcome to come back.
Right. Have we approved that before? Seems like, it seems reasonable in terms of the.
Well, I had wanted to add language to this section allowing us to have larger ground coverages and heights conditioned upon that. But
Well, we
haven't
can
worked
do
on
that
it.
on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah,
anyway,
so let's
given
do
that
it.
it's a special permit application.
There you go.
So that's sort of the way I feel about it. It sounds like you're on the same page, yeah. All right, someone prepared to make a motion with respect to this application?
I'd like to make a motion rather to approve the application for a special exception permit or use submitted by Dr. Joseph Perone for the property known as 967 Old Coach Road to construct a 1,410 square foot garage for additional storage. I find it certainly meets with our requirements under section 383-117. Do we have to make findings on that?
Article 14, under Article 14.
383-14?
Roman numeral 14,
Article 14,
Article 14.
14. Under 383.
117.
117. I see a lot of A's and B's. Where's 114?
And it's 383-26 is the section of our residential regs that allow for larger accessory structures to be approved by special permit.
Correct. Specifically subsection I.
And then the special
Correct.
permit standard.
383-26I3.
Okay, well, do I have to enumerate
No,
them?
no,
or-
no.
No,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think you can make a sort of a general finding that that the proposals,
Meets the standards.
Yeah, meets the standards set forth in Article 14.
Okay.
The proposed addition is harmonious with the neighborhood, et cetera. We've, considered such things as property value. We have no evidence to indicate the property values will be adversely
Diminished, yeah.
affected and all of that.
All right, well, I'll incorporate that into my motion, that it
Yeah,
meets with the
That's fine.
the regs. I would like to put in a consideration, a requirement that there be no septic usage. I'm not going to speak about the water.
Right.
You had mentioned about that, Kevin. I don't have any problem with that, I don't think.
And electricity would be. the
And
only
electricity,
utilities.
obviously.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I will
right.
second that motion.
We have a motion to approve. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, very good. All right, well, that concludes our agenda for this evening.
Move to adjourn.
Attorney Kaplan, Commissioner Kaplan.
And attorney.
Commissioner Kaplan moves that we adjourn. Is there a second?
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Kevin.
do that.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.